let's get into this Fire Stick conversation. Now, this was reported, Steele, by a lot of people. The story that I chose to use for the conversation is a site that I enjoy going to. I happen to know one of their editors, of course, Jez Corden of Windows Central. I know him personally. Got a chance to hang out with him again in LA a couple of weeks ago. I love Jez. Jez is a good dude. I love the when he gets out here and he puts out great material. I love the work that he does on the Xbox 2 podcast with Randall Thor. This particular story was once again written by another journalist that I happen to really like, and that's Samuel Tolbert of Windows Central. And the header is Xbox Cloud Gaming is now available with certain Amazon Fire Stick devices. Here's what you need to know. And he goes on to say players can jump into Xbox Cloud Gaming through the Amazon Fire Stick 4K Max and Fire TV Stick 4K. Now, again, I've said this before. One of the things I really enjoy about Windows Central is they have a what you need to know section, and it kind of does really give you the gist, if you will, of what you're going to be reading in the article. And what it says here, Steele, is Microsoft recently announced a partnership with Amazon to provide Xbox Cloud Gaming through certain Fire TV Stick devices. Starting today, which of course this was written yesterday, players can download the Xbox Cloud Gaming app through the Fire TV Stick 4K Max or the Fire TV Stick 4K. Xbox Cloud Gaming requires an active Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership as well as a Bluetooth-enabled game controller. It's that simple. You plug, you play. Now, Steele, this is a very big deal. I've seen a lot of pushback from the gaming community saying that it appears that Xbox is getting out of the hardware business, which is not the case. They are making it available for gamers who do not want to invest or, more importantly, cannot afford to invest in a PlayStation 5, which is over $500, or a Xbox, which, of course, is, priced differently. You have a $300 box. You got a $500 box. Now you got some other additions coming out towards the end of the year. But just keeping with Xbox, I feel that this is a game changer, no pun intended, because the barrier of entry has now been lowered to the price of a last-gen game. $59.99 on Amazon gets you their top-tier Fire TV Sticks 4K Max. Now, they do have the Fire TV Stick 4K for $40, which, of course, is $20 cheaper. And if that's the route you wanted to go, nothing wrong with that. But there's two price points of entry here, plus your subscription, plus a wireless controller. I think that this is a much bigger deal, and I'm interested to get your hot take on it.
Man, is it a big deal? It's a humongous deal, at least for me. Again, in what I have considered to be the age of accessibility, and I know Pong usually coins it as the golden age of gaming. I do think it's both. I think this is the true golden age of gaming in comparison to what some may have called it back in the day, right? Just because of all the different ways we are able to play now. And I saw some people bringing it up in chat. Shout out to Calorie. What's going on, Brody? But seeing, because he was making a point that it's surprising to see the actual numbers for Xbox be 13% lower than it was for Xbox One. And the one comment that I made to him was that, fortunately and unfortunately, Xbox, Microsoft have changed their ideology on how they want to approach the future. Again, nobody knows what the future holds and what is going to be truly possible. What we do know for sure is that internet is getting better over time with more ways to also access that very same internet. And to one of your points, Boom, that you made, and I think is one of the strongest points, regardless of how people feel, gaming is a hobby for most and a passion for us. For it being a hobby, I do think making it as accessible as possible, for an example, putting it on a Fire Stick to give you maybe a better experience than you would maybe doing cloud off your phone or anything like that. Although I don't know about the extreme particulars or why one would be better than the other or not, or what's going on with that. What I will say, though, is that there has been a blatant effort to improve it, which you have to give credibility for that and consistent credibility for it, right? Like Serve says in chat as well, it is just more options.
Yes.
And what I am starting to, I'm not going to say I'm getting tired of it because it really doesn't bother me. It's just interesting to see the way the conversation is going, right? The gamers of old, us that have been doing this for quite some time and have grown up with these devices. And, but even like I've explained for myself, I've came in more so on the console side of things very, very early on, and I have an appreciation for them. But I came in when online gaming was a thing, right? 99, 2000, more so 98 with PC. And it was a seamless transition for me to become part of the ecosystem because I was an online gamer. And to see 20 plus years later that Xbox is making sure that they're holding true to the thing that I always believed in more so than in Xbox, because it wasn't about exclusives to me. Yes, it was very convenient that Halo was on Xbox, that Gears was on Xbox, that Forza was on Xbox. Those things were very convenient, but they weren't the reasons why I was there. I was a part of Xbox because of what the ecosystem brought me. There was nothing like that original OG Xbox experience, being able to burn discs or download discs to the hard drive essentially and play your music while you're playing certain games, and the way that the dashboard was set up, it just seemed it was so much more futuristic. And they've kind of gone back and forth with kind of having their foot or having their hand on the right path, but then maybe being a bit too early. And with this whole Fire Stick scenario, because I posed this question on the Iron Lords a couple weeks ago when I was on with them for a little bit, that I have to ask this question, and it's a question that I think everybody should consider, and it's this: when you look at the current devices outside of Nintendo, because even the government seemingly excludes Nintendo and what they're doing, although we know that the Switch 2 is going to possibly be able to run Call of Duty, Warzone of some sort, maybe even Black Ops 6 multiplayer. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. But the question that I have is, what is the true difference between the Xbox and the PlayStation that we are seeing today that inherently had always existed previously? And if your only answer is, oh, the SSD, the next thing that falls in line is the ecosystem, right? And if it's just those two things, then how do you innovate into the future? And I think that's the questions that Microsoft has been asking themselves. Of course, these acquisitions have probably made them look at things a little bit differently, because they are acquiring a heap of content that, especially with like COD, for an example, or Candy Crush, Overwatch, Diablo, so on and so forth. These are games that can keep a base and also turn over funds, regardless of how you feel about those things. They give you reasons to invest, right? And with that taken into consideration, how do you approach the future going forward? How do you separate yourself out? How do you reach that wider audience when we have known for at least a decade that the console space has kind of capped itself off, right? We still haven't reached the numbers. Switch is getting close, but it's still not even there, of the PlayStation 2 as an example. And if that's going to be our baseline per se of what we would like to see a successful console do, and it's probably never going to do that again, because you have to take in consideration what the PlayStation 2 did as an example, just having that CD tray in there. It was more of that entertainment box that we had been looking for at the time. And to see the Switch kind of make that transition into that as well, with being a multifaceted device, it makes sense for Xbox, the ecosystem, to expand out and start treating Xbox in a similar fashion as they did Windows. Windows is everywhere. They don't limit it to certain PCs. It's not just a Dell or an HP or this or that or this motherboard. No, it's available on everything. And what in turn has that done? It has made Windows the 90% of what you use on the PC platform. And even it has its ups and downs. But again, these things aren't always going to be perfect, but we should expect for them to continue to iterate on them and make them better as they progress. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things continue to play out, to see how Microsoft continues to move in this direction. And again, from here, when you're giving people more access than ever, it's just, for me, it becomes extremely difficult to argue against why that's a bad thing outside of, oh, well, it makes my console irrelevant. There's not going to be the love that goes into it. There's not going to be this. That's not going to be that. While in the same breath, also having the discussion about games being more expensive than ever, ownership still being a major factor of what we have to deal with, especially moving into the digital era, and us, Microsoft and Xbox seemingly being the main ones to say, hey, backwards compatibility, no matter what, we're going to continue to move forward with this. We want to make sure you have access to all of your content, and not only on the box, but we want you to have that access on your handheld devices, whether they end up making their own, or a Steam Deck, a ROG Ally, your phone, the cloud experiences, wherever you end up getting those. Even it's a major play to see Microsoft team up with who they would consider a competitor in Amazon. Right? Because AWS and Azure, they're head and head. There is nobody else out there really that they can compete with those two. And to see them cut more partnership deals, that means Amazon also sees the positive in what can be possible for this. And mind you, Boom, I know these devices, you were talking about the Fire Stick 4K Pros and the prices on them. Look, Amazon Prime Day is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. And I get if you have some negative stigmas about Amazon, how they do things, but let's be real as well. Amazon has become one of the de facto marketplaces for the digital infrastructure that we are currently living in. And I've seen so many benefits from being a Amazon Prime member that it gives people more of an access point. When I pull up my Amazon account and I see, oh, Fire Stick now has Xbox and this, that, and the other thing, it is an enticing factor. And like somebody else mentioned in chat, forgot exactly who it was, but they had mentioned, to your point, Boom, that, hey, I can't necessarily afford a console right now, but I do have this Fire Stick and I've been playing it on there and it's been working pretty well for their experience, which is an amazing and beautiful thing to see, and it can only get better. So it gets me extremely excited, extremely hype. I want to see more of what the potential of this is, and I don't think that this is the console is ending. I do think that this is more them freeing themselves of having to be dependent on what we as the hardcore are going to drive for the hardware market. So
to bring Jamie Moran into the conversation. Jamie, again, no pun intended, this is a game changer. And if you think, Jamie, that it's going to stop with Amazon Fire Stick TV, you are sadly mistaken, like I would be, because Roku is just as big as the Fire Stick, and that is probably an announcement that's around the corner. And when that happens, think about where you would be able to play your Xbox games. You could play it on your traditional console, whether it be the S or the X. You can play it on your PC, whether it be a $1,000 PC or a maxed out rig that's $5,000 worth of parts. You could play it there. I can go right now with the controller that's sitting onto my left here, that is by PDP, and go play on my Samsung TV, no console. I did a video with me and my nephew, and it was running flawlessly. Now you can play on your Fire Stick. Where else will you be able to play? Like I said, I know that we're going to get into the second half about the roadmap. Folks, I'm here to tell you, just read. I'm going to pull a steel rain here. Just pull yourself back in your RTS view and look at what Xbox is doing. Their roadmap for first party is ridiculous. All of that Game Pass day and date. Look what they're doing in July alone for a Game Pass from third party. Another ridiculous thing. And on top of that, now, while you're traveling, If you don't want to take your S or take your X, you take your Fire Stick, which is the size of a pack of gum, put it into your pocket, plug it into your TV wherever you are, and you're going. I think Xbox is so ahead of the curve here, Jamie Moran. It's almost unfair. Let's get your hot take on this.
Oh, well, we have a lot to unpack here. I
Please
think
take your time. This is a conversational podcast, brother. Spend an hour if you want.
I think this is long game planning. So, like Xbox, there's people right now that are freaking out every time Xbox makes an announcement. Whether they adding things like, or you can stream on TVs, or we putting these games on PC, whatever. People freak out. Every day in my feed, people are freaking out saying, "Oh, this is why we're going to start getting less third-party support." And as you know, Boom, I cover upcoming games. Let me tell you, that's not actually happening. The Japanese games that we're going to skip up Xbox are skipping Xbox. That's it. People are freaking out for no reason. So when it comes to this whole Fire TV stick thing, it's just another option. If you want to get into the Xbox ecosystem, you have multiple choices. Do you want to get a $500 premium console? You've got that with the Series X. Do you want to get a cheaper console with the Series S? You can do that. Or you can jump in with PC, or you can get now a Fire TV stick. And if you want to play video games in a hotel before, you could carry your console or get a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally. Well, now you can just carry the Fire TV stick literally in your bloody pocket, right? That's a pretty cool option. And for people that don't want to just spend that money, they can go out and get this and play all these games coming out. So, to people that are dogging on this, tearing it down, it's an option for people. I bet most of the people that are listening to this or later, core console gamers, that they want their core console experience. And if they can afford it, if they have the spare money, because gaming's not cheap. Gaming is an expensive hobby. It's just an option for people to go out there and play video games. Because whether you've got £10,000 in the bank or 100,000 or nothing, you still probably want to play video games.
Yes.
And games think about it. Fire TV sticks. There's over 200 million devices out there that are going to have access to Call of Duty Black Ops Day 1 via streaming. That is a bloody big deal because, one, Microsoft's going to make a crap ton of money off the things like skins. Like the amount of times I play COD now and there's Homelander running around, everyone's dressed as Homelander. It's quite amazing, really. That's so much more revenue. So while people can think two-dimensionally thinking, oh, Xbox, they're going to be making less money, less consoles, the console's going to go away. It's no, it's not an option. If you have a Series X right now or Series S, I bet there's not really a large percentage of you thinking, I think I'll just switch to start playing on a Fire TV stick at a lower resolution via streaming. Nobody's really thinking that. It's just an option. But I think this is setting up the future. All these different companies have been trying to do the streaming thing for years. I'm probably one of the few surviving OnLive members from back in the day, right?
Wow, dude. Holy crap.
Yeah. I was a member of that service for a very long time, pretty much the whole time, and it was terrible. Absolutely terrible online service. But they were trying. Gaikai, they were trying to do the same thing, and then they were bought up by PlayStation. Remember, you were able to stream PlayStation games on a TV about a decade ago.
Yes.
Feature, but back then, it was a terrible technology, but it's came a long way. And I think this is setting up the future because as much as people don't want to hear this, it's true. Everyone listening right now, you like to go out, play these games, premium, free to play, whatever. There's a new generation of gamers that they didn't grow up with Mario, Sonic, Halo, Gears, or even things like N64 games like, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. These people now are growing up with free-to-play games such as Fortnite, Apex Legends, Warzone. So these people are growing up with these free-to-play games on their parents' consoles or parents' PCs or whatever, or a console that they were bought for them. These people will grow up thinking it's an alien concept to go out there and buy a piece of hardware for a game you have to buy. It's an alien concept to these people. So these people are going to grow up playing these free-to-play games on their tablets, iPhones, and now, streaming devices.
Right.
And Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, well, less than Nintendo, they pretty much in their own special bubble. But PlayStation and Xbox, they worried right now. They worried about how 10 years from now, 15 years from now, who's really going out there to buy things like South of Midnight, Indiana Jones, Perfect Dark, these premium games when you have these free-to-play people that are basically going to be 90% of the gamers 10 years from now? It's a scary thing to think about, but it is the thing. That's why, the console space hasn't grown outside of 200 million players for 20 years. Like, it hasn't really gotten any bigger.
It's the same people buying the same consoles. It really is.
Yeah. And like everyone listening right now, you are a console gamer or a core gamer. Your children will grow up to play, free-to-play games such as Fortnite. Unfortunately, I hate myself saying this. When I have kids, I'm going to force them to play Mass Effect. I'm going to force them start to finish.
I think that's a given there, Jamie.
Yeah. But it's scary the amount of times I'll see people online and say, hey, their first experience gaming was with Fortnite or Warzone, and I just want to jump out the window in front of a moving train. But 15 years from now, who's really going outside to buy a PlayStation for an Uncharted outside of someone that's, in the gaming space right now? Nobody. So all this stuff right now is trying to get those gamers, because if you have these gamers that play these Fortnites, the Warzones, the free-to-play games, if you give these people an easy way to access these premium games, they'll step outside of their comfort zone to play something different, because it's essentially free at that point. They're already paying for the service. They already have the stick plugged into the TV. It's a good option for them. And that's when you can get hooked into the other games. Like, one of my best mates who was mainly obsessed with first-person shooters, that's all he would play. He got an Xbox One X in 2018, I think, or 2017, and he got Game Pass. And then he started playing a little game called The Witcher 3. It was his first RPG ever. And do you know what he does now? Because of Game Pass, he mainly only plays RPGs. So him being subscribed to Game Pass literally opened up his mind to playing something else. And that will happen to people that play only Fortnite, only Warzone and stuff. So, while it's a cool, different option for people now, it's great. Maybe you want to play games in a different room, go on the go, or something like that. Like 15, 10 years from now, these gamers are going to need something to play these games on. And the core console gamers, the whole concept of core console gamers is going to change over the next 15 years. It's bloody scary, but it's the truth. So, I think it's a forward-thinking move. Do I think it's going to massively move the needle immediately? No, I don't think it's going to move much. But I don't think it's going to be the destruction of the Xbox console. But I also don't think they're going to gain 500 million new players. I think it's going to be a gradual process of them getting new consumers into the ecosystem that may even want to purchase a console for a more premium experience. It's a long game for Microsoft, and they've been doing the long game plan for a very long time. If you look at their ecosystem, they've been opening up for years. If you look back at the Xbox 360, they were slowly putting games onto PC via Windows Live. And they even had some games where it had mobile phone features. Like, you could plug a Nokia phone into an Xbox 360 and there would be some alternative game stuff. And then with the Xbox One, they started letting you play games on PC as well day one. And they've just been doing this over and over again. And if Xbox was truly going away, Xbox as a brand would be dead. It would be Microsoft Gaming and all that stuff. People need to stop worrying about that stuff. You have all this. We're going to talk about all the games coming with the massive roadmap. You wouldn't be investing that much money into these games if nobody was playing them. Xbox goes off playing numbers, not the amount of people buying them, because the amount of people buying these games is a bit negligible when it comes to Xbox, because you have people buying microtransactions every 5 seconds. So, for Xbox, this is a forward-thinking thing. This is long game. And in the end, it'll pay off. Look at PlayStation. They're slowly going to do the same thing as well. Back in the day, remember, PlayStation wasn't going to put games on PC. People were adamant that was never going to happen.
Oh, sleep. Huh?
Yeah. And then people start saying, no, it's going to be 3 years in between releases on PC. Then 2 years. Then 1 year. Then people are like, no, it's not going to be day and date. Okay, now it's only live service games. And now you have a Lego game coming out in a few months that's going to be day and date on PC and Nintendo Switch. Last time I checked, Lego games aren't live service games. PlayStation is slowly going to do the exact same thing, because that's where the future's going.